and I'm Rajalakshmi from Site 24/7, Zoho. So this session is not going to be on Site 24/7 for sure. Mark my words. I'll just show a few slides maybe towards the later part. To give a one-line introduction, it's a monitoring solution. So I'm sure the audience is a mix of varied people coming from different industries and different cadres. So this, to put it in a simple term, this is a monitoring solution. But the topic that I have chosen today is to do it in a general manner. And we saw the previous session going into details of demo of Azure demonstration. So I'm not going to any demonstration. It's going to be a presentation. And sit back and relax. So to give a brief intro of myself, I'm sure some of you already are connected. We are connected in LinkedIn. I was happy to meet people face to face. We have a booth upstairs there. I'm Rajalakshmi, and I've been associated with the company Zoho for the past 23 years. This is my 23rd year in the company. I started my career as a software developer at Zoho. It was even called Zoho during those days. It was just a startup, Vembu Technologies, Vembu Systems, then to Advanet, and then to Zoho Corp. The journey I've traveled along with the organization. Now, currently, I'm taking care of Site 24/7 as a product. So the topics that we'll be discussing today will be about, it's more like it's experience sharing. I'll be sharing my experience of how we have evolved from what it is. I started as a developer, so how we were doing things 2 decades ago to what it is today, how things have changed, how things have evolved, what is it going to be in the future. So that's how, what is that we foresee things coming up as. Those are some things that I'll be covering in today's session. So I'll be touching upon the evolution of application architecture itself, cloud computing, software development, future of work, how things have changed, and what is that we have to embrace ourselves to be in line with that future of work that is expected. Observability, DevOps, I'm sure some of you at least are aware of, and how does that help or impact, or what is its importance in your software development lifecycle? What are some things that you have to keep in mind, and about the full stack monitoring tool. So let me start with the evolution of application architecture itself. See, anything you take is revolving around applications. We build applications. It may be it any development, any business, there are applications that are being built. Maybe the language will differ, but the core logic will be there. You can write even small scripts and call it as an application, but that will vary. But if you have to see how this has evolved over the period of time. When you talk about application, typically it's a client-server architecture. That's how we can simplify it as. So a client-server architecture 2 decades ago, this is how it was. We will have a client component, we will have a server component, all of it residing within our own office premise in one corner of our room, and we start communicating, we start writing code. That's how client-server communication was 2 decades ago. That's how it was when I started. And then with Web 2.0 technologies. Web 2.0 is where web was not just considered a medium of consuming content. It was also a medium of contributing content. 2005 timeframes I'm talking about. That itself is 17 years old now. Where people started writing their own content and uploading it. Taking photographs, videos and uploading it. Which means cloud. Things are there in the cloud, and that's when Web 2.0 started picking up. Then the client-server architecture changed to, you can have your servers anywhere, and you can connect using internet. The clients can be connected from anywhere. So that was the transition. And that led to the birth of lot of public cloud providers who could give all the infrastructure that is required, and you can connect. But even 17 years later, even today, we still see people, or we'll still see businesses having their infrastructure or having some portion on-premise. It's not completely moved to the cloud. The business use case will vary, the conditions, the customer use case will vary. So what exists is a hybrid model. You have public servers, and we also end up using multi-cloud. It's not that we are stuck with one vendor. We use multi-cloud, and we also have some part of the business on-premise, in private. So all of this have to work together wherever we use, whatever we use. So that's the hybrid model that exists today. So if I have to put this in a different terminology or a different architecture, what was a monolith architecture? Monolith is if you have your business logic, you have your data access layer, you have your user interface, you have your file storage, everything as one mega component. If one thing fails, the entire component is gone, or entire structure is gone. So that's the monolith. From monolith, things have evolved to microservices. We are talking about containers. The previous speaker deployed a container easily and showed how things worked. We were able to do that because of the technology advancements that are happening, where you can have all these pieces, the components, be it the business logic, or be it the user interface, or be it the file storage. You can have all of them independently, and they can be deployed, they can be destroyed, they can be started. It's all done independently. The structure might look beautiful. Yeah, I can do anything, anytime. But the complexity lies in managing and monitoring the infrastructure or the microservice architecture. Because it might look easier, we will never know what, now it becomes a black box. We don't know what's happening underlying. So those complexities are still there. And things are moving towards serverless. I don't even want to have a server. Gone are the days where I have to worry about first procuring my server infrastructure if I want to do something. We used to do that. If you want to build a product, or if you want to come up with a module, do we have the infrastructure? Do we have it bought and kept in our office premise? Today, you don't even need a server. You can just write functions, and you can build your entire application just using functions. You can integrate functions from other third parties. It's not that you have to build everything yourself. You can just, whichever is best, you can just take that. There are open sources, there are third parties available where you can integrate and still come up with a application. At the end of the day, you are building applications which is useful for your business. So that's the model where industry is moving towards. The cloud itself, microservice itself, we haven't adopted fully. So this is the futuristic, where depending on business needs, people are moving. It's not that because somebody is there, we should follow that, and that's the trend. We have to go and update everything to the latest technology. Every business is unique. Every business customers' needs are unique. Depending on your business, you'll have to decide what you need to do. So that's how it is moving. So this is generally the evolution of your application architecture itself, how things have changed. So if you have to talk about cloud and its impact in software development, as I said, Web 2.0, the cloud is not something new. Digital transformation is actually a journey which started 17 years ago. That is when Zoho's first product picked up. We saw that there is a future that is coming up with the cloud technologies, and we started building products way back in 2005. And from then on, we have been adding more products to cater to the cloud market. So the digital transformation has actually touched every industry around us. You take any field, it has touched that, and it has made transition in the field that wherever we are talking about. So how has it transformed the traditional IT? The IT to what is the software as a service today. This is all, it's not something new that I'm talking, just setting the context of how things have changed. So the traditional IT used to be like this. These are the different layers, starting with your data center to network, to servers, OS layer, middleware, runtime, data, applications, functions. This is not the OSI layer. These are the layers where you can categorize if you take an infrastructure. This is how the traditional on-premise infrastructure was, where all of this was self-managed. Whoever is owning the business, they manage everything. From here, slowly things started moving to provided as a service. What are the things we can provide as service? Co-location centers. So you can just take the data center alone, co-location space, and then you own the rest of the things. So from co-location to hosting providers, there are a lot of hosting providers where up to the server layer, it is because at Zoho, we have our own data center. We are not on any public data center. So we are in different layers. There are different businesses that are in different layers depending on their needs. So there are hosting providers which you can make use of. From there to infrastructure as a service. So your entire virtualization is also taken care. You just have to worry about your components or your application. So from infrastructure as a service, further if you progress, platform components as service. You get all your runtime, your data, your middleware, everything is available as a service today. From platform as a service to function as a service. You don't even have to write your application. You just have to use functions and make use of it. To everything as a service. Today, they call it as anything as a service. There are other things that are coming up. Machine learning as a service. where you don't, if AI is something that is picking up, you don't know the algorithms that are available in the market to make sense out of the huge data that you're having. Machine learning as a service is something that is picking up in the market. So there is another terminology called as anything as a service. So that's the trend that the industry is moving towards. So software as a service, most of us know, and we all built, and this is the transformation. So everything is, you just need a login, and you are taken care. So if you have to transform this software as a service cloud architecture into the 4 major layers that are important for any any administrator, IT administrator or a DevOps person, these are the 4. If you are a business owner or you are part of an organization where you are developing business that is completely on the cloud, you have to take care of these 4 layers. The end user layer, application, platform, infrastructure. So that's what the end user is, your clients who connect using the browsers, mobile tablets. All that you need today is only a mobile phone and a high-speed internet connection. You can do anything, everything from wherever you are in the world. That's how the world has transformed, and COVID has only added more to it. Nothing stopped. Those businesses who were already on the cloud found it easy to move on. Those that were on-premise, first they had to set it up on the cloud and then take it up. So that's the end user layer. Then the application where you actually host your business logic. Your logic is what is important today. And then your platform where you have your NoSQL database, queues, microservices, everything being available as a service. And your infrastructure component comprises of the entire physical servers, virtual servers, your load balancers, firewall, network. Networking is now moving to the cloud, soft networks. It's not that we have to be only handling only the hardware networks that is available. So all this is how it is moving. And for an IT administrator or a DevOps person, or you are the person who is setting up your business, you need to have an end-to-end visibility of what is happening across these layers. That's important, because the problem, if we are talking about cloud architecture layer, bare minimum you will have your website. Something is wrong, your customers are not able to access your website. The problem could be anywhere in the layer. It could be because of an ISP that is down in the customer end, or it could be because of a loop that is happening in your application code, or it could be because a port opened in the database is not closed properly, or in the network layer. But wherever the problem is, your end users are impacted. At the end of the day, customers shouldn't be impacted, and if you're having your business on the cloud, end-to-end visibility of across all these layers is important, and that will be possible with the help of tools. You'll have to make use of any tools. There are many tools, but tools definitely help you to get what you want. So with that introduction, let's move on to how it's going to be the future of work. What do we call as the future of work and how it's going to be? So every business, if you split it down or you boil down to the basic needs, every business revolves around 2 important people. One is customers, other is employees. Both of them have to be taken care. It's not that we'll only take, customers are important, but at the same time, employees are also important. So these 2 are the entities every business revolves around. So what we have to ensure is happy customer and empowered employees. How do we make this happen? And particularly after this pandemic, there are a lot of things that have changed, and how each of this is looked upon itself have changed. A lot of studies have been done in both these areas, both customer facing as well as how your employees work. A lot of studies are there. Now, there is a study by Gartner which says 50% of all the low-code clients will come from business buyers that are outside the IT organization. It's not that your businesses are going to be bought in only by enterprises or your high-code people, IT people. The businesses happen even from, it can happen from any person. That's what this means. So if you have to say this, why I'm bringing this is, mobile first is the approach that people are using. So the mobile adoption is increasing. So this is the stats by data.ai. If you have to, I don't even know the stats about 2022, just a wild guess, in 2021, the new apps for the entire year, what is the number? Any guess? So wild guess, what would have been the number for the apps that have been downloaded in the entire year of 2021? Sorry? I'll show you. Then you will know. 230 billion. And which means 435,000 apps downloaded per minute So that is the mobile adoption that we are talking about. So your business, whatever business you are already in, mobile first is the approach that people are taking today. It's not that I will do a web and then I will do a mobile. Mobile first is the approach. So whatever you do, if you are already having a business, make sure it works fine in mobile. Any campaign that you launch, any product feature that you're bringing in, we are all so much used to, that's the future of work that I'm talking about. We are all so much used to testing it only in our laptops. From desktops, we have moved to laptops. But first, what you have to do is test it in your mobile. Think what we do. Most of the time we do from mobile. So see if everything works from the mobile, because this is the adoption as on 2021, and this is going to be increasing, and this will have an impact in your business, whatever business you are in. There is this other stats. What's the spend in the App Store? These numbers were alarming to me as I was preparing for this speech, so I thought I would share it with you. This is just based on the data that is being collected through a survey. App Store spend is $170 billion, which is $320,000 per minute. So that's the mobile adoption that's happening. And daily time spent per user. All of us have mobile phones, and it shows the track of what's the time that we spent. We all set time limits, but then we just extend it and then go and use it. I also do that. And the next generation, if you take my children, people are on phones. You can't deny that. And they are going to be your customers going forward. So better we be prepared for it. That's the future, how it's going to be. The daily time spent is 4.8 hours per user. That's almost 1/3 of our awakened time, the time that we are awakened. So all this contributes to say that your customers are becoming digital first customers. Mobile first, digital first customers. That is the future that is happening. Now let's look at what's happening with the employees. There is a survey by the start. Now that remote work has totally changed the way we look at things. 97% would like to work remotely at least some of the time for the rest of their career. All of us do that, right? We all agree. Because now the work environment has changed, and whatever is needed has been taken care of by the employees, so that at least some time in my lifetime in my career, I will work, and the number is 97%. So which means people are going to be working remotely. So which is remote first employees. So that's the vision we'll have to take during your hiring, or even with your existing people. This is going to come up. We have to face it. So that's the future of work. Digital first customers, remote first employees. If you want to keep them happy and empowered, you have to see what you have to do, what are some things that you have to change in your system so that you can maintain a balance. To bring this hybrid work culture, there are 3 things for the hybrid work environment we'll have to take care of. People, process, the product that we do. So 3 P's. So in these 3 P's, the people, process, product, we have to think what we have to do so that we can ensure we are satisfying, having a happy customers, which is mobile first customers and remote first employees. So there are a lot of things, that will again vary from business to business, but if you have to think of, for the people side, team building. You'll have to have all your tools, all your softwares. You'll have to get into the mode of collaborative and cross-functional teams. It's no longer that you'll have your entire team in one place and then have meetings. You'll have to have tools where you can have meetings happen even if they are working remotely. So those changes have to be brought in so that people are taken care. With respect to processes, you can't expect people to be present, and you'll have to take care of automations, integrations, because we are living in this era of citizen coders. People don't want to take everything, whatever you give, and use it. They want to make some change to it. Make sure in your product, are you giving these features? Are you having this integration capabilities, customization capabilities, API support to extend? Because I would want to have some touch in what is happening, is what people feel, customers feel. So make sure you have the processes in place for that. And with respect to products, that's the tools that you will be using, or whatever tool you are building, the product that you are building, make sure you are making it, simplicity is what is required. But actually, simplicity is the complex thing. It's not easy to bring in simplicity in whatever we do. As a developer, I know how difficult it will be. We would want to bring in all the features into the product, but we will never see or we will never look into if it is being really used by customers. So you'll have to collect all those metrics and see if it is really being used and make it very simple. And the technologies, AI enabling, experience driven. It's no longer, there are 3 things you have to take care of for your product. It's not just the functionality. Your products have to work, and you have to make it look, UI has to be how it looks and how it feels. That's the experience part. That's a differentiator against your competition. So digital first approach. These are some things which you have to take care moving towards the hybrid work environment. And that will be possible with the help of tools. You have to have the right set of tools in your entire software development lifecycle and measure every metric. We can't just leave it as it is. We have to measure how many builds are we doing every day. What are the tools and processes that we are having that can enable us to do. Now everything is in the cloud. So it's easy for us, if we have the processes and the tools in place, it's easy for us to do that, accomplish that. We have been doing that. That's why I'm coming and presenting it here. At Site 24/7, Site 24/7 has been in business for 16 years. I'll just talk about it later. But 10 years ago, what the number of builds that we did to the number of builds that we do today is almost 10x. That was possible only with the help. We are a cloud provider. So that per day we do sometimes up to 3 to 5 build updates. And this is low when you compare the industry standards. But that's only possible without any breakages. If you have to do, you have to have proper tools in place across your life cycle, software development life cycle. So when we talk about software development life cycle, I'm sure you must have heard of this term, observability. Observability is nothing but monitoring. So what are the things that you want to monitor? So that's, if you have to talk about that, there are 3 pillars. I'm sure if you are in this terminologies, you know the 3 pillars: metrics, traces, and logs. So the metrics or traces or logs will vary depending on what you are monitoring. If you are monitoring your build updates, the number of builds that have went in, what is the error that has happened, what's the version, those are some things you will monitor. If you are monitoring your website, what is the response time, how many people landed in my website, are there any errors, that will be your monitoring metric. If you are monitoring your infrastructure, what is the CPU utilization, what is the memory utilization, what's the processes that are running. So metrics will vary depending on what you measure. So you have to define your metrics. If you want to measure your customer facing actions, the metrics will vary. So with respect to metrics, and particularly in the cloud infrastructure, if you have to think of, there are 3 things that you have to measure. You have to measure for availability. All the components have to be up and running. Industry standards expect 99.999%, 5 nines. That's what industry expects. So availability of all the resources have to be monitored. Performance. It's not accepted all your resources are up and running. They have to be performing as well, because none of us have the patience to sit and look at a page that is taking long time to load. We all just skip and move to the next page. That's what we do. So that's important. Put yourself as customer, what will you do? And then see you can bring that into your product performance. And third thing is security. Being in the cloud, security is important. You have to measure that. That's about the metrics part. Moving to the traces, I'm just touching on what has to be done. Traces is you have your entire application, be it developed in Java, .NET, Ruby, PHP, Python, Go, or any other language that you think of. You have to know the exact line of code that is having problem. You know that a web transaction is taking 7 seconds. Industry standard says that anything that takes more than 2 seconds, people move away. So how do you know where it is taking time? Only if you know where it is taking time, it's easy for you to go and see what the problem is. And that's possible using traces. That's what is called traces. And with the microservice architecture, any of your component can be running in any language. So distributed tracing across all your components is also crucial for you to know where the problem is. And then that's about traces. Moving on to logs. Logs is something as developers, as IT administrators, we all look into when some problem happens. Be it for application logs or the access logs or the audit trials for security purposes. But in a cloud architecture, in a distributed architecture, it's not easy for a person to take remote control of all the system and go and look at the logs. Instead, collect all the logs, have it in one place, and that's what is log management. And make sure the tool that you use have this log management capability To put it in simple terms, converting your unstructured data into structured data is what is log management. Make sure you use a tool that has metrics, traces, and logs for your day-to-day activities. So that's the monitoring tool. And monitoring using the right tools depending on your business needs is important. And this is my favorite quote when it comes to tools, and I've talked about this in other presentations too if you have listened to me. So the quote goes like this: we shape our tools and they in turn shape us. This is a quote by Marshall McLuhan. What this means is the tools that you have in your hand has a great impact on your day-to-day activities. If you have a hammer in your hand, you will only end up hitting that screw because you only have a hammer in your hand. So depending on your business, you have to select the right set of tools and make sure you use them accordingly. So there are many tools in the market for monitoring needs. Site 24/7 is one such tool, which is an AI-powered full-stack monitoring platform that can monitor end-to-end, from websites to server to cloud to your application, the entire infrastructure. So that's Site 24/7. We have been in business, if I have to put it in this stack, the monitoring layers that I talked about, the end user layer, the application layer, platform, infrastructure, we have monitoring for all these layers. And we have been in business for 16 years. This is what I wanted to tell. This is a mature product. We started when cloud started picking up. At Zoho, we have this philosophy: we'll do a product, we use it internally for our own needs. The entire Zoho's infrastructure, websites are being monitored using this tool. We started to use as a website monitoring tool for our own needs, and then slowly it evolved to become, okay, we can sell it as a product, and that's how we have added more to the stack. It was built based on customer needs and based on our needs as well, and we have the entire suite here. And the target audience could be anyone who has, because it varies. It's a product that can be used for monitoring any of your needs. You can be an IT administrator, you can be just a website owner, or there's a spelling mistake, I'm sorry about that. You can be a QA or a network administrator, DevOps person. Anybody who's having a website in the cloud can use the tool. And verticals also. We have customers who are using it across these verticals, be it in financial segment, manufacturing, IT, or healthcare, media, retail, insurance, any segment people need the software. And we are hosted on Zoho's data center. Zoho has data centers across the globe. We have 10 different data centers in 5 different regions. You can choose the data center so your data resides within the geographical region of that particular country. And being a cloud provider, we do take privacy, security, and compliance very seriously and make sure we get all the security compliance required for the hosting that we do ourselves. So this is an Azure conference. We do have Azure monitoring in our tool. So as I talked about, we have a booth down. You can come for a detailed demo. But we do have Azure monitoring where we capture all the resources. You just have to give your credentials, auto-discover and capture all the resources that are available and monitor for metrics, traces, and logs that are required in the product. These are some of the metrics and dashboard. You get the bird's eye view of the infrastructure, what is up, what is down, if it is down, what is the problem in that, and the inventory dashboard of resources split up. And also about the traces, exactly the line of code that is having problem and what are the Azure components that are being used in your application. All these will be captured. And logs, Azure logs, what are the logs that are captured, who uses it, when it was captured from across all the devices that are being used. We also have AI capabilities that can give you more predictive analysis of what's going to happen. Along with that, we have reporting features as well. Another thing is being in the cloud, the spending on the cloud is not monitored at all. So we have a sub-product which is a cloud spend where we'll be able to give you the exact split up of which account is using. A lot of time what we do in the cloud, we use a credit card to sign up, and then paying the bills is another department. We don't worry about that. There is a financial department that pays the bill. Lot of time the resources are underutilized and we are paying more for it. So you will get such reports, and that can help you minimize your spending, and you can actually spend where it is required. And that's what is cloud spend about. You can also allocate budgets for each of the accounts and get notified if somebody is crossing the budget. So that's all possible using this product. So as I said, it's a full stack monitoring solution. Yeah, I've come to the end of the presentation. I think I'm not taken much time. So what we have seen now is, I just set the context of what the application evolution was and how cloud and software development were interlinked and the future of work, how you have to embrace that, being have to keep your customers happy, digital first customers and remote first employees. What are some things you have to take care in your development life cycle? And monitoring is important. Site 24/7 is a full stack monitoring tool. I just finished with this quote. This is my personal favorite quote. This is from the book Alice in Wonderland. Anybody know of this quote? Red Queen's quote, it is called. Okay, the quote goes like this. You have to be running as fast as you can in order to stay in the same place. And if you want to make any progress, you have to run twice as fast as you can. So this is so relevant in the industry that we are in today. We have to keep ourselves updated, otherwise we'll be outdated. So that's on the personal front. And in our professional and in the product also, we do make sure that we look into what are the advances that are there in the industry and make sure we include all that into the product and pass it on to the customers. So this is personally, it's important for us also to keep ourselves updated with what's happening in the industry. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.